it's a very simple model. If it is applicable and if we understand it, it will be easy for all of us to communicate with anybody.
From the communication point of view, what I can say is Sadharanikaran model can be used in teaching, especially because while we want to teach, we try to simplify our communication, try to mitigate the gap between what the teacher is saying and how the students are responding to. So, especially as our professors and teachers, what we are doing right now, rather than the field, but the stream or discipline, what we are working on. So, I think in teaching field, we can definitely work on it. And in communication, Nirmal has already authored it, so we are not reiterating.
So, Sadharanikaran, when we talk about the term, it is existing everywhere because communication is the base of the society. And when we simplify things from any aspect, whether it's family communication, whether it's group communication, interpersonal communication, or interpersonal communication, or we can talk about the machine or AI communication, anything.
So relevance, need appointments in the same, taking it further, global context to integrate it, we have talked about it. Information overload management, do we really need so much of information?
Sadharanikaran is a brilliant idea. Communications is one of the disciplines which has the possibility of taking in all other disciplines within itself.
Very much applicable in advertising and PR. When we frame an ad or a communication in terms of advertising, so we always see the target audience.
In all the universities and all the colleges of mass media across the Asia, to begin with, right? How many universities and how many mass media institutes are teaching the Sadharanikaran model in their college or in their institute at UG level or PG level? So that is to begin with. Let us start it first.
First of all, we should understand, even though it's a Sadharanikaran model, the way we are trying to frame it, it's not that simple. So we should accept that. For example, there are some kind of misunderstanding because I have so many critical points, because while we have to develop a theory, a model in a professional way, we have to have a lot of criticism on that. Just appreciation can't work, especially, and we need to see from a different perspective, appreciation, criticism, and again appreciation, again criticism, then the model keeps going. Most of the time we're talking about de-westernization of communication model, and there is Sadharanikaran. What is the de-westernization here? There is nothing competition, I believe. In Western communication culture, there are 8 communication elements, and in Sadharanikaran also there are 8 communication elements, and there is further development in sender and receiver. So you can say we have understood and expanded this sender and receiver in a different way to reach Sahridaya. Rather than we are competing, you and you are de-westernized because of this model. I don't think this kind of rivalry is here. So we have to reconsider this model in a different light, reframe it, reanalyze it, and then we can say, yes, this is our way. This is the way we try to interpret how the sender should be understood, how the receiver should be understood. But if we are saying this is de-westernization, it's wrong. This is my point.
So it's not about de-westernization. We are trying to reorient all the Asia-centric generations of the communities.
Are we trying to create another theory? I mean, the whole business of the westernization and all of that has been going on forever and ever is based on the premise that its Western theory is based on a dialogic, unilinear model, which doesn't suit us.
It's not about de-westernization of the model or theory, but it's about decolonization. How? Because once you go into that model, you automatically reach into the roots. You go to the Indian knowledge system, and it automatically keeps you out of all this crap.
I am Rajkumar Baral, a PhD scholar at the University of Texas at El Paso and an assistant professor at Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu, Nepal. Coincidentally, I got an opportunity to attend this seminar as a moderator. I mean to say that this is this time is at this time I have been to Nepal, and this seminar was already scheduled, and therefore I got this golden opportunity today. We are here today for an international seminar entitled 2 Decades of the Sadharanikaran Model of Communication. It shows that this model has passed its teenage and it is getting mature. And particularly we are in the session entitled 2 Decades of the Sadharanikaran Model of Communication and Future Prospects. As we listen to the keynotes, as a non-Western communication model developed in Bharatvarsha, SMC is gaining its popularity every day. To discuss about its history, current practices, and future prospects, we have a panel of 6 distinguished experts. It's my great pleasure and privilege to introduce our panelists. Now I turn to the distinguished panelists for their short introduction. We have Dr. Shirish Kasikar. Dr. Shirish Kasikar is the director of the National Institute of Mass Communication and Journalism in Ahmedabad and has over 27 years of expertise in journalism and academia. His journey from a reporter to an academic leader showcases his commitment to media education. With notable awards and contributions to academia, he enriches the field through research in various institutions. Dr. Kasikar's engagement in public discourse and leadership in integrating industry trends into education reflect his vision for preparing students for the dynamic media landscape. Then we have Professor Ujjwal Kumar Chaudhary. He is joining us online. Professor Ujjwal Kumar Chaudhary is the Vice President of Global Marketing, International Relations and Media Design Education of Washington University of Science and Technology, Virginia, United States. He was the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Kolkata-based Adams University, Dean of Symbiosis and Amity Universities, Pearl Academy and Whistling Woods International, all of India. He had been the Dean of the Amsterdam Film School and Strategic Advisor of Daffodil International University of Bangladesh. He worked in the World Health Organization, Times of India Group, Z News and Business World. He runs a school for the talented children of marginalized fishermen families in the Sundarban area of Bengal and Bangladesh border. We have another distinguished panelist, Dr. Chandravanu Patanayak. Dr. Chandravanu Patanayak is the director of the Institute of Knowledge Societies and has over 3 decades of experience in academia and research. With a background in traditional knowledge systems, new technologies, media and education, he leads the Institute in exploring innovative solutions to contemporary challenges while preserving cultural heritage. Dr. Patanayak expertises in cross-cultural education and has a significant role in creating inclusive educational programs that integrate diverse perspectives. His research focuses on integrating traditional practices with modern technologies, providing sustainable solutions and advancing knowledge across cultures. Our next panelist is Dr. Aditya Kumar Shukla. Dr. Aditya Kumar Shukla is a media education professional with over 13 years of experience in teaching, research, administration and industry. He holds a doctorate degree in journalism and mass communication and serves as the officiating head of Institution and Associate Professor at Amity University, Madhya Pradesh. He holds significant positions at prestigious institutions like Manipal University, Jaipur and IMS Unison University. Dr. Shukla founded the Scopus Index Journal of Content, Community and Communication, published 18 research papers and edited 6 reference books. His affiliations include IAMCR and the International Communication Association. He also contributes to curriculum development at Kathmandu University, Nepal. Our next panelist is Dr. Shardha Purohit. Dr. Shardha Purohit specializes in advertising and public relations. She holds a PhD in journalism and mass communication from Jai Narayan Vyas University. Dr. Purohit holds key academic positions, including Program Head and Assistant Professor at the Institute of Management Studies, Noida, and Assistant Professor at Pacific University, Udaipur. She has extensive teaching experience in advertising, public relations, corporate communication, development communication, media research, media theories, brand management, and integrated marketing communication. Dr. Purohit authored Public Service Advertising Campaign and published numerous research papers in UGC accredited journals. With over 8 years of teaching and research experience, she has been honored by the Uttar Pradesh Higher Education Department and Chaudhary Charan Singh University, Meerut for her contribution to education. Our next panelist is Dr. Bhanuvakta Acharya. Dr. Bhanuvakta Acharya is a faculty member in the Department of Communication at the University of Ottawa, Canada. He specializes in journalism, communication, e-governance, diaspora communication, and the digital divide. Dr. Acharya has published numerous peer-reviewed articles in international journals and has presented research papers at prestigious international media conferences such as IAMCR, ICA, CCA, Moscow Readings, and Partnership for Progress on the Digital Divide, PPDD, held in various countries including the United States, the United Kingdom, Spain, Greece, France, Nepal, India, and Canada. I would like to welcome again to all of our distinguished panelists and a big round of applause for their wonderful present in person and online. As I have been informed, Professor Chaudhary wants to speak first in brief. So I would like to request.
It's good to see the entire panel present physically, in person. In fact, I was also planning to. There was another program of the Nepal, the Media Alliance of Nepal, which got postponed, so I couldn't come in person. A very praiseworthy program this is. We are all proud of Sadharanikaran model of communication as something that has evolved from South Asia and has made an international impact. So without taking any time, because it's a long panel, I will use a PowerPoint. I requested to speak first for doctor's appointment. Thank you for that. I hope my PowerPoint is visible. Yeah. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll begin from focusing on basics of the model, which might have been already discussed at the inaugural session without taking much time, but focusing more on the future prospects. Salient features, as we all know about these few things: Sadharanikaran or commonness, Sahridayata or oneness, Rasa or emotions, context or Sandarbha. These 4 are critical aspects of this model, since all scholars here are already aware of the fundamental relationship between them, among them. I will go ahead and also introduce the other areas that we have with respect to this model. So the other areas, Sahridayas, sender and receiver being called Sahridayas, Bhava, emotions, Abhivyangana, encoding of communication or message, Sandesh, the message itself, Sarani, the channels through which the message goes, Rasaswara, decoding or interpretation of the messages or communication, and this decoding at times is being affected by doshas or noise, and it's in a context, sandarbha, and there is a pratikriya or feedback. The communication loop only completes when there is a feedback, and hence it's not unilinear, it's interactive. Process of Sadharanikaran therefore involves Saharidayata, that is the goal of every communication, a state of mutual understanding and empathy between sender and the receiver, who are referred as Saharidayas. This is the fundamental premise. Without getting into any details in 1 minute, I just wanted to present it. So it's a holistic approach. We see that there are various aspects of communication taken up: sender, receiver, message, medium, context, interconnectedness among these, and there is also 3 dimensions addressed: the physical dimension, Adhi Bhautika, or mental, Adhi Daivika, and spiritual, Adhyatmika. So it's a very holistic approach. Contextual sensitivity, because it talks about Sandarbha, the situation, the culture, the environment in the communication process. There is also reciprocity and mutual understanding, because it's about Saharidayata, so reciprocity and mutual understanding is also there. Shared meaning. So the purpose is not to look at the differences in communication among the receiver and the sender and the receiver, and to look at the shared meaning. So oneness of hearts. So there is Saharidayata. Ethical and aesthetic dimension. Surely there is a lot of ethical and aesthetic aspects when you look into this interconnectedness. Some of the fundamental characteristics. So over these 2 decades, the strengths that have come up with this particular model, and great contribution of Dr. Adhikari, I cannot overemphasize that. It is really a great contribution. Emotional intelligence, because it talks about Saharidayata, and the focus is on the attachment of hearts, emotional intelligence, focus on shared experience, cultural specificity, and emphasis on the sandarbha or context every time. No communication can be context neutral. So there people say that content is king, but context is the kingmaker. So focus on mutual understanding, ethical considerations, and as I said, it's non-linear two-way communication, not just one way, not one dimension. So these have been the strengths. I'm only recapitulating or reiterating the points, not going into the depth of it. I will talk more on the future prospects. But there are certain challenges over the last 2 decades. The challenges that have been mentioned by various writers, all may or may not be accepted by every panelist or member of the audience, but the challenges that have come up as per writings of various commentators, limited applicability, it's more true or is truer for South Asian context or Hindu way of life. These have been a thought of some people as well. Because in the Western world, the concept of human rights is an individual specific, whereas the concept of human rights in many Asian and African societies are community specific. So there have been one of the thoughts that's limited in its applicability. Globalization impact has not been taken into consideration because the models focus on a specific cultural context. But when it's becoming too diverse context, too much complexities in intercultural communication comes, the adaptation of this model is tough, according to some of the critics. Subjectivity of rasa, the emotion, rasa, can be subjective. What evolves or evokes emotion for one community may not be the same for the other. And there is a sort of idealism in the whole thing. Very idealistic that there will be Saharidayata of true communication between the sender and the receiver in all times, or in most times at least, is considered to be idealistic. Technological advancement, particularly through instant messaging and social media. There may not be such a Saharidayata expected through this instant digital social media communication that we have, where speed and brevity is the priority and not depth and context. In such context is the challenge. Information overload, I need not overemphasize it. We know too much of information, but much of it what we don't need is there, and we get addicted to it. Reduced attention span, the very natural consequence of information overload is reduced attention span. Ethical dilemmas also, apart communication is done, as we see in the context of fake content, so-called fake news. If it is fake, it's not news. If it is news, it's not fake, we know. But the so-called fake news, the ethical dilemmas are a point of concern. Fragmented audiences, even in a given society, across societies are highly fragmented, even in given society according to their socio-cultural background, their communication channels and what they consume, there are fragmented audiences. Cultural shifts are happening, rise of individualism also in the third world or the developing world, we need not call it third world. In the developing world, the rise of individualism and consumerism is bringing cultural shifts. So these are some of the challenges that have been mentioned. Issue is that how do we ensure relevance of this beautiful model in the coming times? What sort of changes do we do? So there are some enduring fundamentals of the model. That's what I would like to say. They have been there through the 2 decades and in the future as well. Emotional connection is a must for good communication. So emotional intelligence, emotional sensitivity is a must. Context matters. It's not just the content but context. Because the context is also language specific, is culture specific, is geographic specific, many aspects are there. So emotional connection and context issues, the sandarbha, are universally applicable or enduring fundamentals of the model. Building shared understanding. Unless we build some amount of shared understanding, communication cannot be effective. I mean, if everything is very different between 2 groups of people talking or interacting, or multiple groups of people interacting, without any commonality, there cannot be a powerful communication. So this premise of Sadharanikaran model is something which is very enduring. We call, there is no zero-sum game, we should have a win-win game or win-win communication. So this concept of win-win communication can be very much, matrix to the Sadharanikaran model. Holistic approach, yes, sender, receiver, message, medium, context. It's a holistic approach, it completes the loop. Ethical and aesthetic dimensions, we did not overemphasize, we know that these are some of the enduring elements of Sadharanikaran model. Where amendments are required, the cultural sensitivity, one size fits all may not be right, and hence we need to actually integrate valuable insights and of cultural variations among various communities. I have just returned from a trip to Turkey, before that Egypt, and before that Israel. I find what evokes laughter in us or is comic to us may not be comic to many communities. What evokes a positive emotion may not be exactly the same in other communities. Whereas certain other aspects are there. I am not getting into specific examples, it will take time. I have myself been amazed at how differently we react to emotions. React to certain situations, the emotions are different among the various communities. So cultural sensitivity aspect has to be, nuanced understanding of cultural variations have to be integrated. Measuring survey data. Now oneness is a great concept. How do you really understand high, low, medium oneness? Is there some way, a framework to assess the level of shared understanding? Technological and digital integration. Yes, this is another aspect that technological, particularly our Purohit sir was talking about AI and ML. AI and ML is a big challenge in communication. Whereas there are positives of it, there are many negatives, there is deep fake and many other aspects. So how do we integrate modern, particularly 5th generation communication technology, 5th generation industrial revolution technologies? In the 4th industrial revolution, there was AI, ML, 3D printing, cyber security, all that. But in the 5th, the focus is on human-machine relation. That is where we need to evolve the understanding to make this model grow to the next level, evolve to the next level. So extend the model to include digital communication platforms, addressing the unique dynamics and challenges of online interaction. We love it or hate it, we have now a virtual personality and an in-person personality. We have now a virtual communication domain and an in-person communication domain. Coming ahead is metaverse that will make the virtual look even larger. So how do we adapt this model in the context of increasing virtual communication and the emerging metaverse-based communication? So relevance, needed appointments in the same, taking it further, global context to be integrated, we have talked about it. Information overload management, do we really need so much of information? So integrating strategies for managing information overload and actually focusing on that information which are clear, concise and relevant. That's all. So such amendments or developments need to be done. Attention economy. Now with even information overload, the attention span is low of the people. So how do you really address this reality of reduced attention span? That's another area, another challenge today. And similarly, attention economy or lowering attention span leads to fragmented audiences. And fragmented audiences is a challenge to create Sadharanikaran. So therefore, that's another challenge that we need to look into. And how do we bring in the digital literacy in such a manner, in a different manner? The initial rise of digital literacy has been largely impersonal and sometimes anti-personal. Now the next level is coming. So how do we raise this next level to increase, to actually bring in the values, morality and ethics of Sadharanikaran model, particularly to emerge Sadharanikaran through communication. Ethical considerations in media. We know much of Indian media or any media in the world has a lot of false content. How do you tackle that? Practical applications. Yes, intercultural communication training surely requires this model in a strong way. And yes, the nuanced communications have to be understood, different communication styles of various countries have to be understood, but intercultural communication training requires the application of this model. Marketing and advertising. Due to the pandemic, we had compassionate marketing. We were looking at actually communicating healthy lifestyle, social distancing, so-called social distancing, it should be called physical distancing. And we were talking of saluting those who were COVID warriors and all. These were very compassionate marketing and advertising messages, whether it was by Volvo, a car, whether it was by Byju's, whether it was by the hotels, Taj Group and many others. They have been doing a lot of the compassionate marketing. So the need for compassion as against rapid aggression, rapid self-oriented aggressive marketing and a compassionate, more stable marketing. These differences show that the two different models show that the need for an approach like Sadharanikaran model of communication is more useful when you do a compassionate marketing and advertising and outreach. Conflict resolution or zero-sum game is always leading to conflict. It's a win-win situation that needs to be understood, identified, understood and implemented. That will lead to conflict resolution. And win-win situation requires the Saharidayas to come together or Saharidayata, finding a solution which is involving the interest of both the parties. Or if there are multiple parties, then multiple interests. Social media campaigns, very much required. Now social media campaign cannot be impersonal. It has been earlier in many cases. It has to have shared meaning. It has to have mutual understanding among diverse audiences. So social media campaigns. Corporate communication strategies. Increasingly the corporates are resorting to CSR, individual social responsibility, ISR, is resorting to compassion marketing, is resorting to outreach and many a time getting benefits for the community around. So corporate communication strategy cannot be a cutthroat strategy. And cutthroat strategy can yield result once or twice, not all times, not most times as well. Community building initiatives, surely any community building initiative of any professional group like lawyers, professors, doctors, whatever, or across multiple professions but in a particular geography or in a particular age group, in a particular gender or in a particular cultural belief system. In any sector, if we have to build community initiatives, it requires data. It requires the application of SMC in practice. So practical application going ethical journalism. We know journalism today, a part of it is not the role of the watchdog, not the role of ethical journalism. So That also requires prioritizing ethical considerations, which again is an integral part of SMC. Educational programs, the purpose of educational programs is not transfer of knowledge, but evolution of a different evolved mindset, evolved concepts of the people receiving the education. So their Saharidayata, compassion, is highly required. And this, if the mentor and the mentee cannot have Saharidayata, cannot have the application of the fundamentals of SMC, the enduring elements of SMC, it cannot be a successful educational program. So we have moved from delivery of syllabus to outcome-based education today. Outcome-based education talks surely about the change that has been made in those who have got the education or received the education. The literacy campaign also is another area. Obviously, I have mentioned to us in a passing way in social media campaign. Digital literacy campaign also requires less. Integration of data analytics. Now this is a big challenge, and we need to bring merely data crunching is not communication, but using data to find the commonality, the ethical dimensions, the oneness of the sender and the receiver of the message, and thereby creating an impact, creating a communication that leads to an impact or change among both is something which is required. So data analytics with the purpose of creating oneness, mutual understanding, and solidarity. Prescriptive analytics. This can be utilized to forecast communication outcomes with trends. So one is that we communicate through our general knowledge or intuition. The other is there are predictive analytics to forecast communication outcomes. So these 11 areas I find are the practical applications that we have for SMC going ahead. I might have taken a little bit more time. I tried to go fast. The purpose was to talk less about the model by itself, though I mentioned the strengths and the enduring elements, but look at the challenges and what are the newer areas of communication where this model can evolve to the next level. Can we think of SMC 2.0 led by Dr. Adhikari through this extraordinary program, extraordinary knowledge event that is being done? Can we think
Thank you, Professor Chaudhary, for your insightful presentation. As we have already mentioned, and as the keynote speakers also mentioned, that SMC is becoming popular every day. It has become a part of curricula in many universities, and its expansion has become interdisciplinary. To further discuss on these issues, I would like to initiate the discussion. As our panelists belong to different disciplines, this question is common for all the panelists. As you belong to different disciplines, how do you explain the influence of this model, SMC model, to other disciplines outside of communication studies? Maybe in organizational setting, because some of you belong to some organizational kind of things, and sociology or management, or maybe industry, health, anthropology, or political science. We would be happy if you answer this question in relation to your field. Therefore, it would be quite easier to understand the things in general.
Because thank you for the questions, and I think we believe we are all in the communication discipline. So the question is not very much suitable. Rather, we can ask the question to the audience. Maybe they are the more pertinent engineers and other sector medical doctors that Vice Chancellor was referring to. So, from the communication point of view, what I can say is Sadharanikaran model can be used in teaching, especially because when we want to teach, we try to simplify our communication, try to mitigate the gap between what the teachers say and how the students are responding to. So, especially as our professors and teachers, what we are doing right now, rather than the field, but the stream or discipline what we are working on. So I think in teaching field we can definitely work on it, and in communication there was already authored it, so we are not reiterating.
So what we do in AI AI is again simplifying your queries. So Sadharanikaran is there also. So Sadharanikaran, when we talk about the term, it is existing everywhere because communication is the base of the society. And when we simplify things from any aspect, whether it's family communication, whether it's group communication, interpersonal communication, or interpersonal communication, or we can talk about the machine or AI communication, anything. We have to simplify the things. As we simplify the things, we can communicate better. Even sir has referred that we have to simplify the things in the class so that the student can understand. So same thing, other streams can also apply there. When they will simplify the things and consider the Sadharanikaran model of communication, where the bhavas, rasas and other things are there. So generally what we are doing, we are just delivering our experiences. And what we are delivering in Sadharanikaran, the same experience, the rasas. So Sadharanikaran model is applicable everywhere. This is my method.
Is it possible to have all other disciplines as part of communication rather than what you asked? And I think communications is one of the disciplines which has the possibility of taking in all other disciplines within itself. Okay? So therefore, and this is the one side that I just wanted to reframe the question. The other thing is that I think that we in the field of communications have also become feudalistic. Okay? We have also become territorial. And so therefore we refuse to accept all other these things. And so therefore right from the morning till now, I have been only listening to, me speaking to you or you speaking to me. The idea that Sadharanikaran is a brilliant idea, but when I was in university, I also went to study semiotics, where we were learning what later I came to know as quantum physics, which the Vice Chancellor in the morning session also mentioned, where we had this idea of how does meaning happen. Okay? It's like a ball of string. Okay? And the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. But the straight line is made up of many points. And every point can be opened up into a straight line. Okay? So that's how meaning happens. And so therefore, I think that becomes relevant. The idea of Sadharanikaran becomes relevant to all disciplines, and therefore all disciplines should become part of communication rather than how we can help other disciplines. I think you have to make a distinction.
Okay, so basically I belong to advertising and public relations field, and your question was related to, like, you asked us that you have to answer in our field, related to my field, right? So if you see this model, it is very much applicable in advertising and PR. When we frame an ad or a communication in terms of advertising, so we always see the target audience. So if target audience and the marketers, if you say, or the sender of the person, the sender, if they both are on the same page, or they both should have an equal understanding, then only the communication will be taken place. So it is there, all the marketers, all the business people, all the people are applying it. It's just that we have to apply it, and we have to analyze it and recognize it basically. So I think in every discipline or in every area, I guess, if I'm talking to my child also, then also it is applicable, I guess. If I'm talking to my kid and if she is not having this, she is not on the same page, then my communication will be, not worth, right? So, yeah.
I think as far as media education is concerned, we need to talk basics about the basics first. We need to teach this theory and model in all the universities and all the colleges of mass media across the Asia to begin with, right? How many universities and how many mass media institutes are teaching the Sadharanikaran model in their college or in their institute at UG level or PG level? So that is to begin with. Let us start it first. Let us call Dr. Adhikari to our college and our universities to say something about Sadharanikaran model first. Let our faculties get oriented about the Sadharanikaran model first. Then comes the field. Obviously, media field is also very much eager to know about this model. See, even after 20 years of the invention of this fantastic model based on the Indian knowledge system, right? Very few people, even in the field, know about this model. We have all discussed, every time we have discussed all these Western and Eurocentric models, and we have developed all the theories and everything, all other models also based on these Western theories. So why not the Bharatvarshi model get the supremacy? Though there are so many people, so many academicians, they are denying that we are not here to create any sort of supremacy of Sadharanikaran model on any other Western or Eurocentric model. But let me tell you, in next few years, we are definitely going to prove it a superior model than any other Eurocentric or Western model. So first, let us understand the model first, and then we go to the field. We teach them to the professionals, those who are actually practicing the various models, and they are making products out of it, as the lady said. Right? I think then, after a few years, it may require some changes, as Ujjwal Bhai was saying. Right? It may require some changes here and there, but after that, it will definitely prove that this is going to be the superior model in the recent times.
Thank you for your responses. And though initially you said that you only belong to communication department, but when you clarified the things, it clarified itself that you belong to different other fields. I have one more query that is related to some kind of theoretical underpinnings, which is related to your responses to the first question. How does this model address the complexities of intercultural communication, or maybe more than that, intercultural, intracultural, transcultural, or whatsoever, and what makes it unique compared to other communication theories? While before that, Dr. Sirish was mentioning that first we need to make other people know what this SMC is. So I don't know whether it is good to make a comparison of SMC to other and make people aware that this is SMC, this is Bharatvarshi model, and this is different from Aristotelian model and something like that. But this query came into my mind while listening to your responses. So what do you think are the unique features that SMC has, and therefore we have to universalize it, or we have to make it more popular than it is at the present?
To be honest, the way it is named Sadharanikaran, theory of simplification in English, it's not that much simple. It sounds to be a name, the way it is framed. Even though it's a Sadharanikaran, it's really tough. It's difficult. I tried Mr. Adhikari to give a lecture virtually in my university, University of Ottawa. He tried to present, even though it's a short time, around half an hour. But my students were lost. What this guy is saying. And this guy is saying something that needs a lot of understanding, or a lot of background, a lot of maybe Vedic and other contextual understanding to this. So, first of all, we should understand, even though it's a Sadharanikaran model, the way we are trying to frame it, it's not that simple. So we should accept that. For example,
Acharya, Sadharanikaran with something asadharan.
yeah. So it's definitely a Sadharanikaran. So in his model, there are Para, Pasanti, Madhyama, Vaikhari. I read his article published in 2009 in Bodhi Journal when I was flying back to Ottawa to here. And it's not easy still. maybe we need to read something more. So some of the questions what you are asking right now, maybe you have to ask him rather than us, because he is here. And then this is more practical, number one. Number two, there are some kind of misunderstanding, because I have so many critical points, because while you have to develop a theory, a model in a professional way, we have to have a lot of criticism on that. Just appreciation can't work, especially, and we need to see from a different perspective, appreciation, criticism, and again appreciation, again criticism, then the model keeps going on. In the morning session, the whole we heard, because there is a limited time, so there is a lot many appreciation. And in the presentation, our first panelist, he simply tried to outline some of the criticism. And definitely this panelist will outline something more. I will say one more here, and then I will tell you later on when it comes to my part. Simply, most of the time we're talking about de-westernization of communication model, and there is Sadharanikaran. What is the de-westernization here? There is nothing, competition, I believe. In Western communication culture, there are 8 communication elements, and in Sadharanikaran also there are 8 communication elements, and there is further development in sender and receiver. So you can say we have understood and expanded this sender and receiver in a different way to reach Shardha. Rather than we are competing, you and you are de-westernized because of this model. I don't think this kind of rivalry is here. So we have to reconsider this model in a different light, reframe it, reanalyze it, and then we can say, yes, this is our way. This is the way we try to interpret how the sender should be understood, how the receiver should be understood. But if we are saying this is de-westernization, it's wrong. This is my point, and we have some more points later on. I'm giving it over to you.
Yeah. So, Professor Sadharanikaran is saying rightly, it's not about de-westernization. I think Nirmal sir has also mentioned there's a lot of talks. He is talking about reorientation. Okay, so it's not de-westernization actually. So, when we talk about the Southern Indian model of communication and intercultural communication aspect, especially, we are not saying that you have to adopt it. Number one, we are giving you the base to explore more. Okay, like if you talk about the Afrocentricity, Hamid Maulana is doing the wonderful work. We are not saying Hamid Maulana to adopt the Southern Indian model of communication. In Islamic perspective, Islamic intercultural communication, I is doing the fantastic work. We are not saying that you have to adopt our intercultural model. They will do it on the Islamic perspective. So it's not about de-westernization. We are trying to reorient all the Asia-centric generations of the communities, so that they can reorient and think about their cultural aspect. This is not about demonstration. This is only about to reorient our own culture, our own traditions, our own Vedic culture, or we can say our own Shrutis or Smritis which we are having. Upanishads, Vedas, Shardha, a lot of things are there. So we have to explore more. It's not the imposition that we are doing on someone that you have to explore it. Just this is the base. We have proposed something. You can research something more better than this. Thank you.
Again, I think I have a counter question, which is that, and also maybe a question to Dr. Nirmal Adhikari, which is that in this, are we trying to create another theory? I mean, the whole business of the westernization and all of that has been going on forever and ever is based on the premise that its Western theory is based on a dialogic, unilinear model, which doesn't suit us. Okay? Now, in the process of doing that, we are trying to create another theory. Is that what we are trying to do here? This is, so if you look at it from an intercultural point of view, as you just mentioned, IKF internationally is not Indian knowledge system, it is indigenous knowledge system. Okay? And which basically came out of a UNESCO thing in 2005 where they said that indigenous knowledge systems has to be acknowledged as different knowledges all over the world are as valid as the ones that you and I have been schooled in. Now we are trying to create another monolithic structure where why are we talking about only Indian knowledge system? Why not, the tribal knowledge systems in India? Why not any other systems? Why not China? I mean, we are talking about Asian structures, which in some way has to be different from what we have been schooled in. And so therefore we should be thinking of how do we incorporate all these various different knowledge systems and come up with this. And Dr. Adhikari has made a brilliant beginning to this. I have been following his work right from the beginning. And this is an absolutely brilliant beginning. But how do we then take it to the next level, which is essentially how do we take this and then make use of it? Like for example, if you take a Western theory, all of us who work in any discipline, you do a PhD, what do? You take some data, some information from society, and then you take a theory and then you try to match it, and then you try to come up with some kind of analytics. Okay, and you come up with some understanding. Is that possible to do with this? Can I take the Sadharanikaran model and then interpret the latest Nepali film? Okay, can I do that? If that is possible, then it would be a wonderful system.
It is possible. Yeah.
So the thing is, most of us here are not educated in that.
We
So
have 2-3 papers in the next set.
so
Which are highlighting.
exactly. And then secondly, with this business of AI that we are talking about. See, AI and humanism that we talked about in the morning is what we have reached a point where we are trying to humanize dehumanizing. So AI is a dehuman structure and we are trying to humanize a dehuman structure. Okay, which is a very strange thing. So how do we then incorporate this Sadharanikaran theory into these kinds of things? And Ujjwal also mentioned metaverse and AR, VR we talked about yesterday. How do we take this and incorporate it into that? Now this is something that I would really love Dr. Adhikari to explain to me at least. How do we do this? Because I distinguish between theory and method. Okay? And so I am looking for method at this point of time. And if you can explain that to me, I would be most grateful. Thank you.
So, sir have started saying that as a de-westernized model. So, as far as I am concerned, I don't think it is a rivalry of Western model of communication. It's a model. It's a very simple model. If it is applicable and if we understand it, it will be easy for all of us to communicate with anybody. And it's a model. So we can easily apply in every situation. I think so.
All the distinguished panelists started with this de-westernization thing. Let me tell you one thing more. It's not about de-westernization of the model or theory, but it's about decolonization. How? Because once you go into that model, you automatically reach into the roots. You go to the Indian knowledge system and it automatically keeps you out of all this crap. Right? That is what the core area and the core part of it. Now that you ask about the intercultural thing, what this model actually comprises. That is, actually we all know, but I want to say a few words about it. Saharidayas, Bhava and Rasa, Abhyanjana, that is encoding, Sandesha, Sarani, Rasaswadana, Dosha, Sandarbha, and Pratikriya, that is feedback. And the most important part is, this is the entire thing, or the entire theory, not model, the entire theory is based on Guru Shishya Parampara. Right. So it gives a greater age to all other, to this theory, and later on to this model, to all other models. And the most important part, it talks about typical, pure Indian philosophical thought process, that is of moksha. It is not just about the worldly pleasures and worldly communication, right? If you go into the details of the Sadharanikaran theory and Sadharanikaran model, it takes you to the moksha. That is why I am saying it's not just about de-westernization or decolonization. It encompasses and it includes everything.
Thank you. Thank you. As you have explained, I think last month I published a paper on by analyzing Krishna Arjuna Samvada by using this SMC model. So I think the point of reaching to moksha can be somehow visible in that analysis. And I think panel discussion becomes lively when there are questions and counter questions. Therefore, you ask me some questions, I ask you some questions. But I think due to time constraint, I'm not going to ask you any questions, and therefore I won't have any counter questions. I would like to thank you all, the distinguished panelists, for your presence and insightful thoughts. Thank you, audience, for your patience and attention. Now I would like to invite our facilitators, Dr. Dinesh Bafli and Krishna Acharya.
Okay, the hidden agenda is that I am also part of AMIC, Asian Media Information Research Center, and we're bringing out a book on Asian methods and research methodology. So I would welcome any scholars here to please let me know if people are interested in that, and this is something that is going to be brought out from the US.
Thank you, Mr. Baral, for moderating the session. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Sanjukta Mishra, expert in skill development, vocational education, and director at the Institute of Knowledge Societies from Odisha, India. As I said, we do not have time for question and answers, but we definitely have time for token of law. So I request Associate Professor Dr. Sudhanshu Dahal to distribute the token of law to the panelists. We have 25 minutes for lunch.
Can you please make one big
Vishok, here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It was our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just a minute.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. It's my pleasure. That's Mamaji. Finally, the man of maths. Okay. So, thank you very much.
Please.